We are going to be adding data annotation to our models. So let's go ahead and open up course. Come on. And so what we're going to be doing to course is adding both validation and schema related annotations. So there are two using statements that we need to have at the top. And I can see we already have one. We've already got the component model.dataAnnotation.schema. And the second one is just kind of a variation of the first. So I'm going to copy, hopefully. You can see this is still trying to load. Okay. You paste. And then there are quite a few that I'm going to add above title. So I've got required, concurrency check, which means that when I update, it's going to make sure the title hasn't changed. Then I've got a maximum length of 24 with a custom error message and a minimum length of 5 with a custom error message. And then I'm specifying that I want a unique index. Then for credits, I'm also going to put a little attribute in here indicating that the range for the numbers can be 1 through 6. And I'm going to save this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and open up enrollment. And enrollment should have both the data annotation and the data annotation.schema using statements. So I'm going to add these above the namespace, and I can actually go over to course and copy them. Pasting them right in there. And then above the enrollment ID, I'm going to do a little custom display name. And just put a little space between enrollment and ID. For the course ID, that is a foreign key, so I'm going to throw an index on that. And I'm also going to customize the display to put a space between course and ID. And then for student, I'm going to do something similar. I want that to be indexed because it is a foreign key, and I just want the display to say student. Now, one thing that can happen in the views is if the view has an attribute in it that specifies a label name, then it will override what we have here in our displays. So when you run this and you go into like the enrollment section, and if you do not see these new names, that indicates that the view is overriding it. And we'll take a look and see if that's happening in ours. Let's see, student is the last one we're going to change, and there are a lot of changes in this one. So to begin with, we need to pull in those namespace using statements. So let's get both of those. And then we're going to give the table a little different name. So right above the class inside our namespace here, we're going to specify the name of the table. And then, even though this is really not necessary, Above our ID property, we're going to tell it it's a key. Now, it should know that because that is a convention. Then above last name, we're going to indicate it's required. And we have our little custom message. Then because it is a string, we can use string length and specify a length of 30. And we're also giving it a custom message. And then we are changing the display to last name. And we're going to do some similar changes to first name. And first name is got that weird first mid name. So you can see with first name, the string length is 20. We are going to change the column name to first name. And this is going to affect the table itself. And then in our views, we want it to display first space name. And then down here for enrollment date. For the column in the table, we want date enrolled. So we're changing the column name, and we're also changing the display for the views and using date enrolled. Let us save all of our changes. I'm going to run a little build here. And now I'm going to run the app. And let's see. Let's look at courses. Remember, because we changed the models, it is dropping and recreating our database. Happens every time we're in this test phase and we change a model. And let's see. I'm going to go into create. We'll take a look at that. And let's take a look at our create view. So this one looks fine. I do not see that it's overriding our attributes. We're going to take a look at another one. Let us look at enrollment. And I can see it did pick up last name. Let's look at our create. All right, in our create, student ID and course ID are kind of smashed together. It's not picking up the changes that we specified here. Let me go back to the list. Let's check edit. It's not in the edit. Probably not in the delete looks okay. You see details. Details looks okay. So it looks like the edit and the create are having some issues. So let's look under enrollment. And let's look under create. All right, I can see it right here. You see how it's got student ID kind of hard coded? That is a problem. Let's delete that. And you'll notice that when I looked at the create for courses, it didn't do that, which is kind of odd that it did it for one and not the other. Okay, but it did do it here. So we got rid of it. And this is the label that's got the issue. Okay, and course ID, let's get rid of that. So we're looking at the label. Grade looks fine. All right, so let's save this. This is the create for enrollment. And let's take another look at it. Okay, so it pulled in our new displays from the model. So we've got course space ID, we have student instead of student ID. And then to fix the edit, we'd have to do something similar, right? So then we have to come over here and under enrollment, open up edit. It's got the same problem, right? It's specifying a label of course ID and we want it to pull from the model instead. And it's doing the same thing for student ID. The weird thing is it doesn't do it for all of the models. That's why you have to check your different views and then come in and make these little tweaks. So now I saved this, and if I refresh, it's pulled in the changes now from the model. So at this point, we're going to kind of shut this down. And then we're going to take a look at those schema changes that we made to the tables. So let's go into the Server Explorer. Nope, let me refresh here. There. I'm going to widen this and let's look at our tables. And the one that we really made changes to was down here, student info, you remember, because that is the name that we designated in our data annotation. So let's take a look here. So we changed the name of the table. And then we changed some column names as well. So first mid name changed to first name. Enrollment date changed to date enrolled. Okay, so you can see that those changes were brought forward. And just to test some of these, it's probably a good idea to run this and then make sure that your error message is displaying correctly and that it's checking the length. So let's go into students. All right, so let's do a create new here. So for last name, we said length of 20, and it's required. So if I tried to create this, yeah, I should get error messages immediately because it's required. And now let me just key in a bunch of stuff. And the minute I go over 30, I get the error message. So let me key in something good. Now let me do this one. So for first name, we said over 20, right? Or maybe we didn't. Let me see. Yeah, we did. It should be picking that up. Oh, date enrolled has still got an error flag. So let me fix this. Let's see. All right. So now that I've fixed that error, now it's picked up this one. Okay, so no error yet. Now I'm greater than 20. Okay, so that does seem to be working just fine. And let me go back to the list. And we could do the same thing with the enrollment, although we don't really have much for validation there. Course, we have a little bit more. So if we go into courses, let's say we create a new one, and it's requiring a title. So let me create here. It's very unhappy. Let's see. Course ID. Let's see. Computers and business. Credits 20. Yep, that is working. Okay, so now that I have no errors, I could create.